What's up, guys? This is ShadowWolf810, and today I'm going to be telling you guys about some things that piss me off when I'm sick. So you're going to be watching some Modern Warfare 3 gameplay, a little bit of context. I was getting really pissed off the night I did this, and so I was like, okay, I'm definitely going to get an AC-130 this game. And that's what I was doing just so that I would have motive. So it gets a little bit campy is the point. But we're talking about things that piss me off when I'm sick. These are really trivial little things, so understand that. And a little bit of a rant video coming your way. So, first thing is when you have the watery, super flowing congestion that just runs out of your nose like it's a fire hose. And you end up having mountains of tissues because every time you blow your nose, it's like you ran the tissue under the sink while it was running or something, you know? And instead of the normal type of congestion where it's like blow, oh, okay, I have a considerable amount of the tissue left to where I can wrap it around and not get this shit all over my hands. Well, with this, it's like, oh my god, I just covered half the tissue in water snot, and it's like, yeah. And so the other thing is you end up with a mountain of these like rolled up tissues because you have to use so freaking many of them. At least with like quote unquote normal congestion, you can, use a decent amount because it doesn't reaccumulate every 2 seconds. But with this, it's just like a constant drip, and you just gotta use them over and over and over and over and over, and it pisses me off. So then you gotta find something to do with all the tissues, because either you end up having to like get up to throw each one away, or you have a massive disgusting pile of drippy snot rags all over your desk, or on the floor, or wherever you want to put them. And nobody wants to deal with that, but nobody wants to get up and throw them away after every single time you blow your nose. So it's kind of a trade-off. I usually go with throwing a massive pile on the ground, but that's just me. So wherever you go, if it's away from the box of tissues, that's when your nose is going to decide to erupt and yell Krakatoa and just it's like Old Faithful. I swear, it's right on time. As soon as you get up to do anything or, go to the bathroom or whatever, your nose is just like, oh, it is time. And then you're just like, what do I do? What do I do? At least when you're going to the bathroom, you can freaking get some, like, toilet paper or whatever. But if you're walking around or whatever, it's like mad dash time to find a tissue or a rag or whatever. And, then you sit by the tissue box for like an hour or two and have to blow your nose like once. And it pisses me off, but whatever. One thing I hate is when one nostril swells up, like it's not really congestion, but it just swells up, and then you can't breathe out of it at all. So then the other nostril gets all the air, and it dries it out super bad. And then every time you breathe, it hurts, and so you're like, oh, now I have to breathe through my mouth, and it's just a massive pile of I don't want to deal with this, especially if I'm trying to sleep. Because if I'm trying to sleep, then the last thing you want to do is get up and blow into a tissue for 5 minutes into like to the side that's just swollen to where nothing will come out, or you end up like sticking a tissue just in your nose to where it's not like receiving the full brunt of the air blowing on it. It's like super raw, and you're just like air, stop, ow, no, stop touching this. So next thing, I hate when like the circle hole nose bits of your nose get super dried out, and they're like sensitive and terrible, and just like it's like chapped. That's the best way I can describe it. And you end up like trying to I don't know, put lotion or something on it, because it just sits there and burns, and every time you have to use a tissue, it's like, oh, let's rub sandpaper on this, And so I need to invest in some of those freaking lotion tissues, like I can't remember what they're called, but the ones I currently have right now are just horrible, and it's pissing me off. So next thing is I hate when you get a massive headache with a cold, and you have a deep cough that's like that was a little bit forced, and my throat hurts because of that, but you get the idea. Something like that, because every time you cough, your brain just squirms a little bit, and it's like, why are you doing this to me? And I can just see, like, I always have this image of like somebody with a bunch of screws in my head, and every time I cough, they just like turn it just a half a turn more, and it's like, oh my god, this is gay, ow, and there's nothing you can do about it because you have to cough, and even blowing your nose can do that to your brain too, and it's not a fun experience. So next thing, I hate when you're you have like all sorts of, phlegm and mucus in your throat, and because you either cough it up and you have to swallow it if it's not socially acceptable to just, spit on the ground or into a bottle or whatever, and that's absolutely disgusting, having to swallow it. That just makes me want to gag right now. It's like, why would you ever do that if you didn't absolutely have to? And then even still, if you have to spit it into a cup, eventually you're gonna accumulate so much that it feels like, oh, I just have a sip left of my drink, and then you're like, oh, let's drink. Oh no, put this away, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna designate this one by ripping the tab off, or the cover, whatever it is, the label off of this one, or whatever it may be, so but at one point in your life or another, you will accidentally drink that, and it makes me want to gag too. It's so disgusting. It's just like, I don't even want to talk about it, so let's move on. The other thing is, you can, if you're missing school, it's like, it makes it so difficult to get caught up the next week if you miss even like a day. When you're in high school, I know some of you guys are still elementary school kids, which is awesome. You'll get to high school eventually, but when you're in high school, and especially if you're fairly advanced in high school, we've been over this, I don't want to sound arrogant, but you get the point. When you miss one day, you miss a lot, and you have to make up a lot, and it makes the rest of the week, or next week, absolutely horrible, because you've got work from last week to worry about and work to do from the next day. You know what I'm saying. So as much as that makes me sound like an absolute massive nerd, the just missing school really sucks. It makes it a lot worse in the long run than it needs to be. So next thing, I hate having to get up at school and blow your nose in class, because one, everybody's watching you, and that wouldn't normally bug me. I'm not the type of like, I can't stand in front of people. I mean, I'm talking to hundreds or possibly thousands of you right now, so that's not really an issue for me. But what happens every time, I know I'm gonna have one of those times where instead of like all of the mucus in your nose just goes straight into the tissue and everything's perfect, it just misses and just like drains down your face, and you're like, oh my god, and you have to like kind of try to hide the fact that you're wiping your face off with a tissue, and you always grab one too few, so like you'll grab two thinking you're being cautious just in case, and then that happens and you're like, oh dear god, what do I do? And you have to like walk back over and get another one. It's just horrible. Another thing is, if you sneeze, I hate when you have the congestion that just blocks everything up, but it's actually like mucus. It's not just you having your nose swelling, and you sneeze and it just like, you have that awkward, oh my god, I have to walk across the classroom with my hand over my nose right now to get a tissue, and everybody knows you totally sneezed in your hand, but you just gotta deal with it, and I hate that. I usually don't get very sick. Well, okay, I don't get sick very often, but when I do get sick, I get super ridiculous, I'm gonna die sick, and that makes it a lot less fun too. So another thing with the whole getting up in class deal, if you manage to wait until the teacher like stops talking, so not everybody's paying attention, like you're doing book work or group work or whatever, it's always when they decide, okay, we're gonna do something absolutely silently, and then you know that your nose is not gonna cooperate. It's not gonna make like a normal nose blowing noise. It's gonna squeak or be super high pitched, or like absolutely nothing's gonna happen, and it'll just go like, you hear that? My nose is whistling. It's like I planned that. I don't know if you could hear that, but it was definitely whistling here. And it's just always something like that happens when you get up in front of the class and blow your nose. So the next thing I hate, at my school, you aren't allowed to have medicine of any kind because it looks like drugs, and so they even technically ban cough drops, although no teacher abides by that, because we realize that we're teenagers and we're responsible enough to not abuse cough drops, if that's even physically freaking possible. But you're not allowed to just like whip out some NyQuil and take it or whatever. So I've got Zicam, which is a pretty cool little thing. Actually, it helps you if you take it right at the sign of getting a cold. It'll actually make the cold less effective, I guess, in its goal to dominate your soul for the next 3 days and make life living poop. So I really recommend that, guys, actually, if you have it. ZICAM. No, I'm not paid by them to say that. I wish I was, but I'm not. So anyway, I have that in my pocket, and I have to go to the bathroom to go take it so that nobody questions my, I'm not high right now-ness. And yeah, because of that at school, it makes it a real pain to have to take something, especially if it's something like, hey, take this every 3 hours, or take this, like if it's a pill or something, you have to somehow coerce your way to the water fountain and then like sneak a pill into your mouth and swallow it. It's just all sorts of not fun. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the commentary. If you did, be sure to leave a like rating for Sick Shadow Wolf, and other than that, thank you for watching. I'll see you later.